Hey everyone, welcome to a comparison in-depth between the Xiaomi 17T and the 17T Pros. You probably want to know which one of these should you buy. Well, in this video, I'm going to check out the designs of them, their features they have, cameras. So there's going to be a mini camera comparison in this video to point out which one is best. And then synthetic benchmarks, battery life, charge time, you name it. It will be covered, including speakers, in this in-depth comparison between these two models, so you know which one to go for and you don't buy the wrong one. First up, what's included? So thankfully, it's really good here, at least with the models that I was sent out from Xiaomi. So 67-watt charger we get with the 17T, and the Type A to Type C cable on both of them. 100-watt with the Pro model. It also does support wireless charging, that model, at 50 watts. And then both of them, you get a little bit of paperwork, so you get a warranty card, there is the safety information, and a TPU case even. So really good of Xiaomi to include this, because remember, a lot of other brands are only giving us the phone and a Type-C cable. So for the duration of this in-depth comparison, the 17T Pro will be on the right. On the left is the 17T. So design language, they look both the same. They both have the Leica with the optics and the color optimization with the cameras. So they've still got that partnership, which is really good to see. The square camera modules there, 5 times periscopic cameras in the same position. And we then have the infrared for the focus assist. You can see what looks to be maybe a microphone here on the back of the Pro model. Seems to be missing there from the non-Pro. So 50 megapixel main cameras, there's a slight difference in the aperture, so a slightly worse off aperture, but really there's nothing in it. A 1.7, f1.7 here with the 17T. 17T Pro has f1.67 for the aperture. Ultra wide's at 12 megapixels, and when it comes to video performance, there is a big difference because the Pro model here gets 8K 30 frames per second, also gets 4K 120, non-Pro maxes out at 4K 60. Now, the weight of them, it's similar, but you can't really feel it when you're holding both of them. I can't here. So we're looking at 200 grams versus 219. And the thickness, there's not really much in that either, because we're looking at 8.25 with the Pro versus 8.17 with our non-Pro model. So power button locations in the same place. For some reason, the Pro model, you can see the antenna lines there are different location to what we have with the non-Pro. Up the top there, the antenna lines more visible. So that must mean that this frame here must be plastic, whereas it's metal with our Pro model. That's at least my takeaway here with it, and why the antenna lines do look different. So we have our SIM trays that do not take and support micro SD. Unfortunately, the loudspeakers, and again, you can see those antenna lines. The fact that the Pro model has the metal frame, the non-Pro does not. But the smaller sizes, they are quite good. I like the fact that it's a little bit smaller than what we are getting here, and it makes it a bit more comfortable. So 6.59 inches, the display on the non-Pro versus the 6.83 inches, and you can see that difference. Now, fingerprint readers, they are optical, they're not ultrasonics, and both of them, they seem to work about the same kind of speed there. Haven't seen too much of a difference with them. Alright, so over to the cameras now with our Xiaomi 17T and the 17T Pro. So front-facing video right now, 4K 30 on both. There is no 4K 60 frames per second, unfortunately, only 4K 30. They're using electronic image stabilization, and they do seem to be almost identical here. I can't really see much difference in them at all. Let's have a look at the rear cameras for video now. So rear camera video, there's a bit of wind, so we're likely to hear some wind noise coming through. Ultra wide at the moment, 12 megapixels. We go over to our main cameras, which are 50 megapixels. Transition seems to be the same on these. And then the periscopic camera. So if you're wondering where I'm filming, this is the castle of Guadalest. It's in Alicante. Beautiful spot. And in the distance there, that's the Mediterranean. Let's see if I can zoom into that. Just walk along. So we'll go 5 times and 5 times there. And you can see that they're looking very similar. Now there's a difference with the Pro model, because the Pro model has 4K 120, 4K 30 and 60, and with the non-Pro, so the 17T, you only get 4K 60 and 30. And the other last thing is that the Pro model has 8K 30 frames per second. The non-Pro does not have that. So if you need 8K video, well, you need to get the Pro model. And here is a little quick sample here of 8K video, 30 frames per second with the 17T Pro. You can see part of the castle wall in the background there. I'm in the plaza. And I believe maybe the town hall there in the background. So this gives us a lot more detail. The idea about 8K that I like is that you can normally scale in. So you can zoom in a bit and not really lose anything when you export in 4K. I'll just show you the view here because it really is nice. You can see part of a defense tower there. And the color of that water, yes, it is that very weird kind of green color. So that's 8K video with the 17T Pro. Okay, so looking at the differences between them, there's not that much in it. They are very similar, but here the 17T is a little bit more oversaturated than the Pro. And when I take it over to the main camera, they look really similar here. All using, both of them using the Leica Vibrant preset. Differences in exposure when looking at that rock there in the middle. This is the 5x periscopic optical zoom camera. Both look very similar again. Some slight differences in white balance and exposure. And more notable here is the color tones. It looks like the Pro model, certainly to me, is better in this particular shot and looks better here with this portrait. But it wasn't always the same case, because when you have a look here at this portrait photo, it's a little overexposed to the Pro, and I do prefer the non-Pro model. And in some scenarios like this red hibiscus flower, you can see that the Pro model certainly did a better job at capturing all the different shades of red and the fine little veins and things on those petals. The non-Pro model was clipping those red colors just far too much, so you can see in the exact same conditions, here the Pro model is a lot better. And with low light photography in general, the Pro model did perform better. Slightly brighter looking photos, less noise, so there is a bit of a noticeable difference here. So out of the cameras overall, they are slightly better with the Pro model. Okay, so the displays, there is a bit of a difference in the refresh rate because we've got 144 Hz with the Pro versus 120 with the non-Pro. Now, brightness on both of them with these AMOLED screens does top out at 3500 nits. And that is all well and true, but what I want to know is in direct sunlight. As you can see now, to me, and when I was there in person filming this, it seemed to be that the 17T, so the non-Pro, was marginally brighter in direct sunlight and could hold the brightness longer than the Pro model. I'm not really too sure why that is, because they should be the same, but that's just how it is. Could be down to software, maybe hardware, and it wasn't that noticeable, but only when you really had them side by side, you could see that it was just marginally better there. But when you're just using them, both of them are bright enough and not really doing them justice there too. So we're running Hyper OS with this, and it is Hyper OS based off Android 16. Now, there have been no firmware updates yet for these phones, which is typical. So HyperOS version 3 on both of them, 3.0.3, and both of my versions have 12 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage, so perfect for the comparison later when we check out storage speeds and other benchmarks that at least I can run on them. So 32 megapixel front-facing camera with their hole punch style cutout. They allow 4K 30 frames per second, which is very weird with the front-facing cameras, because I would have assumed that maybe they could allow 4K 60 at least, but you see here 30 is the cap on both of them, which is kind of annoying. So for the chipsets, we have Dimensity 9500 with the Pro model and 8500 Ultra with the non-Pro. Is there a noticeable difference in performance in general day-to-day use? You don't really see it that much, but however, 144 Hz refresh rate running the UI at 144 frames per second versus 120. With the faster chipset, even though they've got the same RAM, I've noticed it does sometimes feel a bit better when you're doing some heavy multitasking. Now, in typical Xiaomi fashion, there is a lot of bloatware, pre-installed crap that you probably want to remove half of it. It's not too much of an issue. I still mention this, of course, but you can go along, remove that stuff. It will take you about 5 minutes. Now, unfortunately, Antutu is blocked by Xiaomi, probably because these are under embargo still, these devices, as I test this. but there are other benchmarks that I did run. So I can't show you that, unfortunately, but we can see with the storage that this is where things got a little bit weird. I didn't expect this, but the faster storage is in fact the cheaper model. Now, should you base your decision on this? No, but look at the difference. Really weird. It's way faster the non-Pro model. I'm talking way faster. It's 1,000 megabytes per second reads on and almost 2,000 on the writes. And I repeated this test and I could keep showing this. So did they go with downgraded spec of storage? It seems they did, or cheaper hardware maybe, or maybe it's something to do with software. I don't really know, but I think it's the hardware there. Then on the hardware benchmark side, running Geekbench version 6, you can see clearly that Dimensity 9500 absolutely destroys the Dimensity 8500 Ultra. As expected, we're looking at a non-Pro versus a Pro model. This is a lot more expensive. I don't know exact pricing, but we're probably seeing around 200, 250 US or Euro difference between these two models. And looking at the same storage here and the same RAM, we really do see the differences between them. Now, the OpenCL score, this is to do with our GPU performance, you can see is much better. It's almost double on the 17T Pro, and when you game, you do see this. You get less micro stutters and less lag noticeable on the Pro model when testing gaming performance. Battery life, as expected, there is a difference because we've got 5,000 milliamp hours more with our Pro model, but I didn't expect the difference to be this big. It just goes to show that I think the more powerful chipset is in fact a little bit more efficient too as well. Now, both were configured with the exact same brightness. Both of them ran when they were at 100% down to when they got to the end result here. So you can see that there is almost a 2-hour difference between them, which is quite substantial. Now, in real world, because this was obviously a synthetic test, real world, they're going to be, I would say, around about an hour's more screen on time with the Pro model. If that really means something, that you really do need that battery life, then get the Pro model. Now, charge time, as expected, big difference because we're looking at 100 watts versus 67. Both the phones were started at 14% batteries, you can see down here, just to try and get an exact measurement on their charge times and not the claims from the company, which sometimes can be rounded down quite a bit. So after about the 22 minutes and 19-minute mark, we were at half, so 50% on the 17T, but 57%, and I know the times aren't the same, do apologize about that, but later when fully charged at 100%, you can see there was only a 6-minute difference. That's surprising, but we have a larger battery. Even so, I would have thought the faster 100-watt charging versus 67-watt charging would have given us a much bigger difference. But for some reason, to get to the 100%, it took a lot longer. I mean, way longer. It took about 5 minutes to go from 98 to 100%, which was interesting there. So there we go. You can see that clearly the Pro model with the synthetic benchmarks and the charging and everything else is superior to the non-Pro. No surprises there. How do I rate the haptics on these phones? Well, I have it turned up to the max level, and that is where it is by default anyway. And I have noticed that I wouldn't call this amazing. You get little sharp, nice bursts, but it is certainly, I don't feel as good as some of their other phones. So even the Poco F2 Pro, way back then, or the Poco F3, they had better haptics, I feel. So here in YouTube, I have noticed that the scrolling seems to be, and it's probably picking up on this, see how it's a little bit more jerkier, and you see some stutters more, the smoothness on the left side with our non-Pro model, and the Pro just seems to be a little bit more fluid. Odd, because I don't think this should be happening. And while this is not a super potent chipset, the 8500 Ultra, I think it should still be optimized a bit better than this. Probably down to software. Okay, so why am I in YouTube? Well, I'm going to play one of my videos here with the soundtrack. We'll have a listen to which one has the best loudspeakers, because to me, they seem almost identical. And I'll place bets on they're probably using the same earpiece, the same loudspeaker. However, it seems to be a little bit louder on the Pro. But let's have a listen. So there we go, no real surprises there. It is the Pro model that won in most of those tests, except for two things. I noticed the screen was slightly brighter and in long extended periods in direct sunlight with the non-Pro version, so the 17T had that advantage. And the other was, for some reason, the storage speed is way faster, almost double at some points, on the non-Pro model, which doesn't really make any sense at all. That is it. But for the superior gaming performance, battery life, charge times, wireless charging, 8K video, 4K 120, this is the model to get. And the cameras, even though they're very similar, they seem to be the processing better, especially that photo I showed you of that red hibiscus flower. Overall, it would be the Pro model I would go for, but if, of course, you want smaller and to save quite a bit of money, then go for the 17T. I hope this video was helpful. If you liked it, then please give a like, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.